Hello, everybody. Welcome. Good afternoon from Vienna. Hope everybody's having the most wonderful day. Hope everybody's staying safe and having just, the most relaxed time possible. Thank you so much for joining in. Today, we're doing a guest session with Miguel Useche, who I'm going to bring onto the stage right away. Hey, Miguel, how are you?
Hello, I'm fine. How are you?
I'm doing good. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining in today. Folks, you've done a couple of guest sessions with us already. What we're going to be doing is going to be having folks. Oh, actually, if I may, we've got some folks telling us hello from where they're joining in, and I'd love to take a moment. Let's see. We've got folks from Hungary saying hello. Nice. We've got Linda from Florida. Hope you're staying safe, Linda. Thank you so much for joining in. Carlos is saying hello from Spain. Nemuel is saying hello from Nairobi. This is amazing. Timmy Phil is saying good evening from Germany. Yeah, I guess it is evening. It's 7 p.m. here. That's technically even. Before I blather on, Miguel, I want to give you the opportunity to introduce yourself to the group and tell us what you're up to these days, please.
Well, for those, I don't know, should I share my? Well, no, never mind. Well, my name is Miguel. I'm from Venezuela and currently living in Colombia for the past 3 years. I've been a web developer for almost 2 decades.
Wow.
And also I was a teacher, a university teacher for about 10 years. So that's why I love to do these things, because I love to teach and share information. And yeah, my work is mostly a web developer. I consider myself as a full stack. I can do front end and back end. And yeah, today I'm going to talk about the browser's developer tools and oriented to specifically to front end and back end things that you can do. So basically that's who I am.
Well, that's amazing. Thank you so much, Miguel. Folks, if you're watching, ask those questions to Miguel, please. Like, this is the great time to be able to do so. And don't worry, we're going to let Miguel give his presentations. And as you folks are asking questions, I'm going to bookmark them, and then we'll bring them up during a short Q&A, time allowing. So I will say goodbye for now. I'll let Miguel do his thing. Again, Miguel, thank you so much. See you on the other side.
You're welcome. See you. Okay. Yeah, like I said, I was going to teach you the presentation. It's called Devtools Are Your Best Friend for Web Development. The idea is to give you a small introduction to the Devtools, so you can use them every day on your work, on your experiments, on your web development. And I'm going to give you a brief presentation about why I consider the browser to be my best friend on web development. And then we can go to some demos, so you can know how most of the tools work. And then you can ask some questions, so I can reply you. And any question that you have, I'm going to reply. Also, I want to give you a warning that this talk is oriented to any browser. That means that most of the stuff that I'm going to show is on Firefox, because that's the browser that I use. Well, you can use any browser that you want. Nowadays, all the browsers include all these tools, and they are very, very similar. So the question is to use your favorite one and don't switch to another one. Well, like I said, the content, what is a best friend? I'm going to since this is an introductory class, I'm going to talk about the inspector tool, so you can see how you can control and see the HTML code. The other tool I'm going to explain, the style editor. It's how you can edit the CSS or all the the appearance of the website. And then I'm going to show some another extra tools like accessibility tab, so you can learn how to make websites with more accessibility, and brief and small recommendations at the end. So you're going to start. What's a best friend? Usually when you think in your best friend, a best friend is a person who is always available. They are next to you in your worst moments, when you are feeling bad, or when you're feeling something is happening in your life. You are usually close to a best friend, or you go to them in order to to feel better and having a better time. Also, they are trustworthy. Usually, your best friend you trust your most important secrets, and then you know that they are not going to share it, and that information is safe. And also, they makes your life happier when you are around them. And then I'm going to give you a small story about how I discovered that the browser is my best friend. It's a real life story. It was a Friday night. I live in Venezuela. I was living in Venezuela, and it's the Caribbean. We party a lot. So in the weekend, I was doing Friday night. I was in a party, and then I received a message from my mobile phone, and I immediately knew that it was something from work. It was something happened with the system where I was working with, and then it was a CSS bug that somehow affected the login. And my boss was traveling, so there was no one who can fix it. So I was the only one who could fix it. And at that moment, the owner of the company was showing the system to any kind of person. So it was really important to solve the bug at the same time. Sorry, to solve the bug right away. So I knew they have to be the savior. I need to fix the bug and go back, to where I was. But I found it was a mission impossible because I was really far from the office and really far from my home. But I have a small solution. At that moment, Venezuela had a high inflation, so the places they put some computers so you can log into your bank account and do any wire transfers to the local, so you can pay all the stuff. So when I saw the computer, I knew that it had a browser, so I could use the Devtools and solve the problem. So I tried to use the computer as slow as I could, feeling like the first time on a computer, and try to gain as much time as I could. And what I did was to open the browser tools, solve the CSS bug, so my boss, the CEO, let's say, could log into the website. So I could do everything with the web browser. I could fix the bug, made a Git commit, and then I felt like the savior because I could save the night at my company and go back to where it was. So that's when I discovered that the web browser was my best friend, because the web browsers are installed on any machine. In almost any computer that is connected to the internet, you will have access to a web browser, even though your mobile device, game console, etc. Also, they are trustworthy. Many of you, I guess that you have bought something online and you trust in the browser, and by putting your credit card number or any, maybe you're having a private conversation and you're telling something, that is private, and you know that the browser is not going to share that information with others. So they are trustworthy. Also, they have tools to make websites. That's what we're going to see in a few minutes. And use them professionally will make you happier. I recommend you, since you are starting in web development, to learn these tools and know how to use them in order to make your life easier, so you can save time. Now, let's see how can my browser help me with web development. Let's see some scenarios. Usually when we are starting to doing websites, we write code, then we execute some script and tools. For example, if you are using CSS compilers or JavaScript tools like Webpack, Run, etc. Usually you write the code, execute those tools, then go to the browser, see the changes. If they don't work or it doesn't work as expected, then you go back to the first step. You change the code, execute the tool, go back to the browser. So it's like a bit of repeated. It's boring and takes time, and it's a very repeatable task. So the browser can help you with this, and you are losing time. Each time that you have to go to execute and go back to the browser, it takes you some time. Also, sometimes editors are obsolete. This is a scenario where it's always nowadays it's not so common, but usually when a new technology comes out, the editors don't support it. So when you start writing in the editor, you'll see that they throw some warnings, some error messages, and you say, hey, why is this error? But it's because the editor doesn't know that technology exists, or that CSS rule or that HTML tag is supported. So sometimes you may confuse it, or give some wrong directions. As a web developer, you are going to build website for many devices, and all the devices has its own browsers and own sizes. So you need to have a tool in order to, you don't need to buy each one of these devices in order to support them. You can use your browser to simulate each of those devices in order to, to see how the website looks, and you may need to do some adjustments in order to make it look good. Editors do not help to visualize all the resolution. I mean, if you do a web editor, they don't help you with this. You need to go to the browser in order to solve this. And sometimes after you make the website, the user gives some feedback like, hey, the site is slow, it feels heavy, like I click and put my computer slow. Sometimes it doesn't work. So that kind of thing you can fix them with the browser. Have you experienced these problems? If not, nice. But I'm pretty sure that when you do web development, you're going to experience some of this stuff. This is pretty normal. I'm not going to scare you, etc. It just things that you do sometimes, it happens. You cannot control it. But okay, now let's go to the fun part. Let's see how the browser can help you on these scenarios. First, I want to recommend you to use development browsers. These browsers are like I wouldn't say like the beta, but they are oriented to web developers because they are the future version of the browser that everybody uses. For example, on Chrome, on Firefox and Chrome, I believe that it's the browser that is going to be released in 3 months ahead. So they help you because then there's a big change, you can know, the big change you can know like, 3 months before everybody else knows or start using the browser. For example, there was a time when the web browsers said that if you don't use a certificate, we're going to show a huge message telling you that, okay, you cannot log into this website because it doesn't have a certificate. And at that time, many websites didn't support this. So when I installed these development browsers, I knew that the message was coming to let's say, to the average user 3 months ahead, so I could take some, some directions. Or if there are some features that are going to be released, you can start use them before everyone else. The browsers are called, for example, for Firefox Developer Edition, Chrome Canary, Edge Dev, Safari Technical Preview, and I don't remember the names of Opera Dev and Brave Dev. So you can download them and start using them. Okay, let's start. First, let's see the inspector tool. These slides are actually a website. You can see at the top that I'm inside Firefox Developer Edition. You can go into the Devtools by right-click on any element that you want and click on Inspect. And it opens the Devtools, which are these. I think I can. Oh, it's in Spanish. I don't know. It's not in Spanish. Okay. And here you can see all the HTML that this website currently has. As you can see, it might be a little complex because it's a slide. It's not a regular website. It's like a web application. And for example, but you can navigate through the HTML and it will highlight what is reflecting. I think we can go to let's see, to another slide. For example, here I can click on Inspect. And I can navigate through all the elements. For example, the H1, it's the title, so you can see what this H1 tag gets rendered in the browser. Also, you can see an image tag, so you can see, okay, the image is a image tag, obviously, but it has a class that is called no border. I can see the source, and I can see the original image, for example. Well, you cannot see in the video, but when I highlight the URL, it will display a pop-up with a real image, and I can see some extra things. On the right side, you can see all the CSS that it's affecting this element. These one are gray out because there are rules that are more important. Like, for example, this class, it's the one that gives me the no border. Here it tells me, okay, it doesn't have any margin, it doesn't have any background, etc. The good thing about the inspector is that you can study how a website is done. You can go to any other website and see how it was done. It helps you to change the page. For example, let's say, okay, I don't want this this text, you can double click and change to another thing. For example, browsers for developers. And once I click, you will notice that once I press enter, you will notice that the website will change on real time. For example, I click enter and the text changes. I can, for example, remove here the class because I want it to have a border. Well, the border is black, so you won't see it in the image. But you can start changing things in there. For example, I don't want to be a H1, I want to be a H2. Then it changes everything in the real time. So you can use the inspector in order to change the HTML code and change elements, around there. What else? Also, you can, for example, sometimes you want to see what's the color you want to change. For example, I want to change the title to the same color as the purple from Safari. So I can click on here on the to grab a color from the website, and then I can, for example, over through on the logo, and it will copy me the color, and then I can do something like this. For example, style color, and paste the color that I got from the logo. And you can see here, you can start building the website. Why this is better than the editor? Because you can edit the HTML code and see the changes on real time. You don't have to refresh the browser. You can experiment with that. I can, for example, okay, I don't want the title at the top. I can drag it to the bottom of the image and I can see the changes. And this is much faster than start to writing the code, switch to the browser, and again. And once you have all of this, you can just simply copy. You can simply right click and you can copy the HTML and paste it into the editor that you are using. So the benefit is that you can change everything and see the changes in real time, and you can even export it. Sometimes, well, I don't have it here, but it's also possible to save it into you have a local server to save it into a local file, and even use the browser as the web editor for your files. If you have any question about the inspector tool, remember to leave them and I will reply them later. Also, it is Css Style Editor. The Css Style Editor is something similar. You can see here in the third tab, it's the Style Editor. For those of you who know how CSS works, when you go into a website, you will download all the CSS files and build a tree with all the CSS rules, and it's going to apply them to the page according to a certain order. And here you can see that it shows you all the CSS files that it downloaded from this website or from the server, and they are shown in the same order of how the browser interprets. So and I can do things like, for example, I can hide them. In here, this doesn't affect too much, but maybe here you see that I can hide, for example, these CSS and see all the changes and how it affects. And I can even open. For example, I can open the theme, and I can see all the CSS rules that this file contains, and I can even change them. For example, here, where this is like a very complex CSS, but I can even add, for example, go to the bottom and add new rules. For example, I think this is a H1. All the H1, I want them to have a color red. And I'm going to add an important, so it takes it. And you can see that the color changed to a red one. Red one is a little bit ugly for this, but you can add any rules. Even as you can see, it auto completes the CSS rules, so you don't have to to learn exactly how it's spelled. For example, I want to add a text shadow, because I can see, for example, text, and it's going to show me all the CSS attributes that start with text. Shadow, and I can double click and will auto complete me. I want to add a shadow of, I don't know, 5 pixels, and it's going to be dark. I think this is the CSS rule. Okay, I need to add an important here. I think we won't be able to see. Okay, you can check there that it adds the CSS rule. Now I'm going to increase the vertical, and you see that the shadow will go down. And you can see that you can, start creating CSS code in there and seeing the changes in real time. You don't have to switch to, like I said, to another program. This is important is because I'm adding here in this example because the slides has its own CSS rule, but in reality, you don't have to use the things. And then at the end, there are two options. Once you have finished, you can click on right here on save, and it will save all the CSS rules into a file. And that file, like I said, could be in the local system and do the changes. Also, here, well, I have a very small screen right now. But also that's the style editor. But also you can change it right away in the element. I can click on inspect element, and on the right side, I can see all the CSS rules. And it has so many important tabs. For example, the first one, you see the rules. In here, there should be the rules that I added. It should be at the top because those are the most, the ones that are getting added. But if not, it's easier. For example, I can add, for example, font weight. I don't want it to be bold. I want it to be, lighter. And you can see that the text now it's narrower. And I can, I don't know, add something else in there. The other tab is the layout, so you can see how this works. For example, you can see, then CSS, each element has a padding and has a margin, and a width and a height. That's the layout structure. So you can see here what's the layout. For example, there is no margin, there is no border. This is the width, and this is the height. And you can check, for example, for another element, what's the size of this. Since everything is on a slide in here, everything will have almost the same size. And also there is another tab called the computed. This is pretty useful because in CSS you can have multiple rules, but not all of them are going to be applied to the browser. And sometimes when you are developer, you don't understand why a certain rule doesn't apply. In here you can see what was the browser interpreting. For example, I want to see why is the color red. So I can check, for example, show me everything that is on color. I can do a filter and tell me, okay, this is the border, this is the color. Okay, color red. And I can expand to see what's the file that are affecting me, that rule. And I can see here all the CSS rules that it's the order. So I can understand, okay, the color is being, the CSS file that is affecting the color of this element is white CSS, and I can click it and go in there. And also I can go to this tab, which is really important. I use it a lot with the changes. The changes, if you remember, I changed the font size to be, the font weight to be lighter. So it's, not as bold as before. And in here, I can track all the changes. So I can, work on multiple changes and see here what changed. And then I can just select it and copy and paste it into an editor. And all this tool has a lot of extra information, but this is like the basic for the CSS. The only problem is that if you refresh, you will lose all the changes. You will start from zero, so be careful to do all the work and copy and save it before refreshing the website. Other thing that I want to show you are the media queries. Media queries are, for example, sometimes when you are working with mobile, you stretch the window and you're making narrow, and sometimes if you have a big screen, it's hard to go to the edge of the browser. In this case, you don't need to do that. In the Style Editor, you can see on the right side, there is a Media Rules tab. You can see all the resolutions that the CSS supports. So you can, with one click, you can click and the browser will stretch and, take the size of that particular, the particular width. And then you can start working and see how it will look on a certain device. So it's pretty helpful to use these things instead of narrowing the browser. Also, the browsers, when you use these Devtools, they simulate a real mobile. They simulate a browser that instead of sending clicks, it sends a touch event. They change the browser engine, so it looks like if you are really coming from a mobile device. So that's why it's better to work with this tool. Also, there are some advanced stuff for CSS. For example, this is CSS shapes. You can see there is an image. It's a square image. I'm going to put it next to a paragraph. And if you see at the bottom, it's going to add a ClickPath CSS rule, and it will transform the square into a vector, like a vector. And if you can click on the icon, sorry, instead of vector, it's a polygon. You can click it, you can edit, and you can even, you can see in a few seconds, you can change the look of the shape of the image by clicking on the shape and dragging and changing it as it should be. So, and this is much easier than doing from CSS rules and coding and refreshing, etc. You can play with that and see, like I said, see everything how it will work on the browser, and at the end, once it works, you just copy and paste the CSS rule. Also, there are some, you can apply some layouts to the websites. For example, using CSS Grid, CSS Flexbox, etc. And the browser supports. Now, 1 second, I'm going to pause the volume here. And the browser supports tools in order to see how a grid is built. For example, in these examples, the pages are built with CSS Grid, and there is a tool specific for that. You can right-click and see at the right side there is the layout tab. And you can see how the website is divided into rows and columns. You can see the names of the column. You can change the space between them. How they are divided, and do all these things using graphic tools, which are more easy to understand and to work with. You can see here, you just do some certain clicks, and you can even apply some CSS rules in there. For example, you can move the whole grid or the table into, rotate it 20 degrees, and it will rotate it, and you can see the changes in there. So it's pretty helpful to use these and, make website faster than doing fully from code. And also, I want to talk about accessibility. The accessibility, this is an example with WordPress. Well, the demo's in Spanish, so sorry. But once you click it, you can, it will query the full website and will tell you about things that are not okay. First, this you can see there. Let me repeat the demo. Let's see if I can refresh. Well, okay, you can see in there when you can see there is how a device for people that, for example, usually blind people have a device that will read you aloud the website. So you can see in there what's going to read. Also, if you can check, for example, for problems that it says from contrast, and it's going to complain. Okay, in this case, on the search box from WordPress.org, the gray is not very readable for certain people. So it's going to warn you about that. Also, that part of the website, that gray above the white background, it might be hard to be seen by certain people. So this is really good because then you can change the color, so you can apply some things, so you know that all the people can see your website in a good way. And like I said, for example, you can also see like this in the bottom, how certain device will help people to read the website. For example, for blind people, how will read the website so they can navigate through there. And also there are certain things like, for example, sounds, if you have any sounds. And the idea here is that you create websites that work for as much people as you can, even if they have some eye problems, some issues. They can still see your website and work and do some things in there. Also, the CSS Flexbox editor. If you do Flexbox, you can, for example, see how an element is divided into the website. You can see that in that case, the logo and the search box are divided in half and half, and you can see how they are aligned to the bottom. What's the pattern in there, and the browser will help you to visualize how the browser interprets the Flex rules. This is really helpful when you are learning, because sometimes you don't know how are the names of the rules or how the spacing are, and you can see visually how the browser interprets it, and then you can just apply or change the rules to whatever you want. Also, here's a demo. For example, it's a video game, that is using Flexbots, and you can stretch or change the layout by using the Devtools, and it's easier to work than, like I said, by writing code. Another demo I wanted to show you is variable fonts. For example, it's a new technology that instead of downloading one single font for all the websites, you can use one, and you can, in the browser, you can change the attributes. For example, I want to increase the weight, I want to make it, more italic, etc. And you can use a single website, a single font, download a single font, and then through CSS, you can change the appearance. And the tool will help you to, to design your font. And if you see on the right side, it will update the CSS code, so you know what should be the CSS code for that particular font. And then you just copy and paste in your website, and you can work with this. This is really helpful because you can just only download one font and change the the design through CSS and reuse it on multiple places, and so the website will load faster and will look more unique. Also, there is a best practices panel. This is a eShop that I made. It's a demo. It's not a real shop. And I can, for example, go into hints. It uses a service called Web Hints, and it's going to analyze your website, and it will complain about certain things that you should cover. For example, it's complaining about there are some accessibility problems. If I click here, for example, it's saying that when you select an item, the color is not good. Also, it's complaining about, in this case, all the CSS rules that are not complaining in this case for accessibility. But there are some other things, like, for example, performance. You can click in there, and it's complaining that there is a JavaScript code that is not minified, so it's going to take much time in order to load it. Some compatibility things for them. For example, for mobile, the CSS rules, that CSS rule that I apply in that shop won't work on mobile. So it's really, after you finish your website, it's really good to pass this tool, and make sure that the website that you made was done with great quality, and also it doesn't have any future problems, because especially when you are going to work professionally, you want to make the website once and never fail in the future. So this tool will help you a lot to cover all those things. These are like small tools. Like I said, there are many tools to use and to learn, but they are really easy. So once you start using them, it's really easy. Also, if there is a feature that is missing, search it, and maybe you can install it with an add-on. So, for example, if you're working with advanced JavaScript frameworks like Vue, React, etc., all those frameworks have their own developer tools, and they can be added into the browser Devtools. So you can just install an add-on, and they will be just in there. Also, you can download, if you're an advanced user, you can download the source code in the Devtools source code and add your feature and add it to there. Or you can create your own add-on and create your own feature if you want. But what I say is that they are really customizable, and there are many things that the browser doesn't include, but they can be done through external add-on. For example, I have one add-on that refresh the CSS. First, you can change the CSS in your file, in your editor, and you can tell the browser to refresh without refreshing the website. So you can refresh the CSS rule and apply it to the browser without refreshing the website. It's really good on production or when you want to change whatever is loaded. And that's done through an add-on. Also, if you are more interested in this topic, there is a good website called Devtool Tips. I think you can open here. There are a lot of tips that explain you how you can use all those, all the things. And the cool thing is that they are like a video, so you can really understand how to do stuff with the Devtools. Also, NDN has a really good section about what are the web browser tools and explain you with very detail what you can do with there. Also, each browser has its own, documentation, and you can go in there and read it and see, depending on what's your favorite browser, and start doing things with the website. And basically, that was my presentation. Thank you for attention. Here's my Twitter account, and if you speak Spanish, this is the Mozilla Spanish language Twitter account. You can follow me there if you want to read about technology and web development. And that's it. I don't know if you have any questions. Thank you, Ramon.
That was one. I muted myself to clap so that I don't offend people's ears, but I just want to say thank you so much, Miguel. People in the chat, please do me a favor and spam us some clap emojis for Miguel, because that was amazing. No, this was fantastic. It's so cool to see what is possible with the browser, and good refresh every time I see some kind of Devtools presentation. I'm always like, wait, what? You can do that? It is amazing. I want to be respectful of your time, Miguel. I don't want to take up too much of your time with Q&A, but we actually have
I have some time.
Fantastic. Thank you. We actually have quite a few questions. I'm going to pick out some, if I may. Let's see. We've got from Linda's asking, Miguel, how do we use the DOM to help us if what we change in the DOM is not permanent?
Okay, well, one second. How do we just do it to help us? Okay, what I understand the question is how you can see the DOM. I think when you go into the inspector, actually didn't say that. The inspector, you see the DOM on real time, and you can change it and see here what is on real time. If you want to see whatever came from the browser or the initial HTML or DOM, whatever you want to call it, you can press Ctrl-U or Command-U, and if you're seeing my screen, it's opening the original DOM, let's say. So how say like if you change something, you can see what got lost or what was not permanent by comparing this and the inspector from the Devtools. That is something that you need to know. I'm not sure if I understand the question. You can re-ask it.
Yeah, no, I think that answered the question, at least from what I gathered. But Linda, if you wanna, if you don't feel it was answered, please feel free to ask it again. Awesome, thank you. Let's see. Carlos would like to know. It would be nice to know how to recognize that the website is a web page and not an application made with some framework.
Okay, nice. There is a tool called WP. Let me search it. Okay, have it loaded here. There is a service called I don't know how to pronounce it, Wapalizer. It has an add-on, and you can install it and see how a website is done if it uses a certain framework.
Oh, wow.
And in the text. Also in the, I would say, hacker or the advanced way, it's to, I should leave it open. In the advanced way, is to go into the CSS and search for words like React or Vue or for WordPress. For example, WordPress usually have code that start with WP, and that's another way to see it. And usually, I would say that the web page usually loads faster, and you feel like it's only content and information. Usually, a web application is more advanced because then you see a login, you see certain URLs. It's like a website, but more advanced. That's how another way to identify quickly. For example,
sorry, carry on.
No, I was going to say, for example, you can suspect that this application because usually when a switch is not a regular transition of the content has a transition in a regular way, so you can suspect that that's a web application.
Got it. Thank you. And Carlos says, "Genial, Miguel, gracias."
A la orden.
By the way, just to circle back to Linda's question from before, Jeff is saying, I think the question is more about how to save your changes so you don't lose them when you reload the page. And Linda says, yeah, I've done that, but some things that I changed did not save. I use Chrome and I do not see a save option. Should I change browsers?
Okay. No, usually what I do is to copy and paste the DOM. I don't trust too much on the saving from the browser because sometimes if you're working with I guess if you're working with components or not the full website, just a small section, and you don't want to override the whole page. So what I do is you can do something quickly right now. For example, here this message, I want to change it to I don't know, to this. And then I just can copy and you can copy the outer HTML.
Yeah.
And copy that and save that, because that's the only way, because you will lose the changes after a refresh. It's more like to create the code, copy, and paste it in your editor.
Yeah. Ah, brilliant. Thank you. Let's do the next one. Logan's asking, when would it be better to use the Devtools in a developer edition of a browser over the standard browser version?
I would do it always, because the DevTools in a developer edition usually are, I mean, in other words, sorry, in the stable version of the regular one, usually some tools are hidden because they are not fully stable, or I don't know, sometimes they make some decision that it's not working 100%, so they hide them. And so the developer edition will have tools that you don't see on the stable version. And also, like I say, it's easier, it's better to work, because sometimes when you do a project, or even if it's a small website, let's say that it takes a month, it's better to do it in a developer edition, because maybe that's the browser that the customer will use when the website is launched. So that's why it's better. And also because sometimes they support new things that like it's going to be used when it's launched, but at the moment they are not available in the regular website. I have an example when CSS Grid were planned to launch, like let's say in 3 months. I was starting to use in a website in a dev edition. I could work everything good. And once we launched the browser, the website, at the same time that the browsers were stable, then people could use it. But if I was using the regular web browser, I couldn't make the website because the technology wasn't supported. I don't know if I.
No, that makes sense.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you. Let's see. Our next question is from Carlos. How could I find the JavaScript that is running on a web page and run it to learn from it?
You can in the same style. I think I have that tool disabled. Okay, if you can see my screen, well, you can enable and disable tools. I don't see here. Console. I don't console. I have in here in it. Okay, there are multiple ways, but one, you can, for example, I'm going to go to the network panel. The network panel will show everything that is downloaded. You can click on JS, and once you refresh, you can see all the JavaScript all the JavaScript files that got downloaded and in the same order. And let's say that I want to see something. I want to see this zoom. This zoom is a zoom effect. I know that you can see the code.
I need to hide the selected question. Okay, sorry, carry on.
And you can click on in there and see the content. But also, I forgot how to. The debugger. Sorry, you can click on.
I was just looking. Sorry.
Yeah, the debugger. Yeah, sorry, it's too. Okay, here you can see, for example, in here, what are the folders. For example, there's a folder called this and contains this file, and you can navigate and see in there. In this case, the JavaScript is minified. There is a tool here where you can click it and it will make it readable. Of course, the variable will be still one variable, but you can see the code in there human readable. And you can start, applying some changes. And I'm not sure if you change it here. No, I think you cannot change it. But at least you can debug it and see how it works, and especially.
That's super cool. I did not know that you could unminify, or at least.
Yeah, I can.
Yeah.
Yeah, here it's another.
Wow.
And unminify the code.
Timmy Phil's asking if we can do that again. I think we just did. Yeah, you can select the JavaScript file, and when you do, you'll see that it's pretty compressed, and there's a sort of like curly brackets here. Oh, you can't see what I'm doing. But yeah, there's a curly brackets there that Miguel clicked on, and that expands the JavaScript. That is incredible. That is wild. I love it. Awesome. Thank you. Let's go to our next question. Oriranma is asking, can we tamper with our JavaScript code using the inspector?
By Tamper, that's mean to overwrite.
Yeah, I think sort of like, overwrite it inline, which is I guess
you
what
can
we'd be
write
doing
it.
here.
I think I have a video. Yeah, I mean, here's the web console. And it has you can put some certain things here. It's just that I don't know how to use this specific. I can do a demo. Yeah, this is my wife's website. And since I did it, I know. Okay. Yeah, for example, I know this website uses jQuery. So I know that I can do some things like let me see, what is this? Well, I'm going to do something crazy. I'm going to say when on click. This is jQuery, so I can do, for example, on click. Do an alert. How this works? Just make sure. Okay, it's all work. What I'm going to say here is that everything that is a click, when you click it, it will return an alert saying test. And I can do any website here and it will override. Well, it won't override. It will just add it to whatever it's loaded, but you can do some things. And actually can go even, well, I cannot do it with this. I'm not sure. Okay, I've run it. And now if I click here, it shows the test.
No
you see that
way.
I changed the JavaScript code. Of course, it's going to load the link. But if you want to change it, I think you can do something like this. Okay, sorry. There is also an advanced view. You can click here and it will change like an editor. So it's better and it will be multi-line.
Oh, wow.
And you can do stuff in there. And I can do, I forgot how to, I don't know if like this. I haven't used jQuery in a while. But I think something like this. I can disable, for example, disable all the clicks and then add my click again. So it's like change it, but not changing at the same time. Like, like a hack, overriding the. And then I can just click here on run. It will show me the results. I mean, run again. And now, well, it's still loud, but I don't remember. But you can do something like this, like disable the click. And then when you click it, add menu code. So you can test. This is really useful when you are working on production. Okay, there is the worst scenario. There is a bug in production and you cannot edit, doesn't happen on development. So you have to go into the real website and start doing things in there.
That's super cool. Thank you. Mm-hmm. Awesome. Let's do the next one. General question from Tech Bunny. How much time does it take to become a full stack? And can you explain it in a roadmap kind of thing, starting from front end?
Okay, that's a good question. Usually when I have talked with people that is starting to web development and they see the full stack like, oh no, that's impossible. That requires like a lot of time. I think that something easier is that you don't, how to say, like, well, I studied in a university. In the university, they teach us like all the IT program, all the IT problems. Usually it's grab some data, process it, and print the results, let's say, or do some action. And in the front end, usually you take the information from the events, like a click, input boxes. Then you in JavaScript process it, and then you do some alerts and show the information. If you know how to do that, it's easy to switch to a backend because the backend is the same logic, but instead of taking events or data from events from the customer, it will be taken from API request or HTTP request. And then the processing usually is go to a database, query the data, and print the information back in a certain format. Once you do that for the first time or, learn the basics, usually mostly the same thing. I know that people might say, hey, there are completely different branches and different code. But what I'm saying is like the way of thinking of the global aspect is almost the same. In a roadmap should be, if you already learn HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, you can start with the backend. I recommend, for example, Node.js because since it's in JavaScript, you don't have to learn a new language. If not, you can go with whatever it's easy for you. You can go Python, Java. It's almost the same. I mean, the same because all of them are, the languages are different, but the bases are the same. And then you can start learning how to create an API, how to grab data, read from database or save. and print it back again the API. Once you do that, then it's easier to start, adding stuff in there. But the main exercise should be that: receive data from API, create a small API that receives data, save in the database, and then read it back and show it back again in the API. That should be that's what I think that you should learn to start learning about backend.
That's terrific advice. Thank you. Okay, next question. I thought this question from Carlos was interesting. The CSS you show there, is it the original or the browser's interpretation?
Okay, that's a good question. Actually, you can see both. On a style editor, the files that you see in there are the original. Actually, you can see here the comment of the author of the CSS rules, because on the style editor, it's the same. But in the inspector, where it says computed, those are the ones that the browser interprets. And in other words, the ones in the style editor are the original ones. The ones at inspector are the ones that the browser interprets. So that's why I added, I don't know if you remember the presentation, and added some rules into the file, and you couldn't see them in the inspector, because those rules that I added, the browser wasn't interpreting them, so that's why they didn't show up.
Awesome. Cool. Let's go for the next one. Which browser opinion time? Which browser's tools are the most user-friendly / have the best features for developers?
Yeah, this is a question that always made each time that I talk about this. To me, honestly, it's really personal. I'm a huge Firefox fan, and to me, the Firefox tools are better for CSS. They have more CSS. They are more user-friendly. But the Chrome ones, or let's say that the WebKey, I think that I haven't seen any difference between Edge and Chrome. I haven't checked them lately. I know there are differences, but very small one. But usually, Edge and Chrome are more JavaScript oriented, and they have tools that Firefox doesn't have for JavaScript. So sometimes when I'm doing advanced JavaScript stuff, I need to switch to Chrome in there. So it really depends on what's useful for you or not. I have friends that they love Chrome and they use Chrome, and then when enter Firefox, they go, "What is this? I don't understand it. The layout is different." And that happens to me the opposite, because you get used to one way to work, and then when you switch one, it's hard. So basically, use the one that is easier for you.
Love it. Love it. We are coming close to the top of the hour. I hope you don't mind Miguel doing one or two more questions. Awesome.
They're really good questions.
They are. They are. We've got the best learners. Okay, so we got a question from Jeff. If you modify the DOM through the Devtools instead of an editor, how can you export the changes back to your version source code rather than losing them when you change pages?
Yeah, what I would say, basically you need to change it and then click on copy. There are the copy, you can copy the inner HTML. That means that it's not you want to copy the code that is inside the element that you change, the component. Or the outer includes also the component that you selected. So you can basically, that's what I do. You can just copy that and paste it in your editor. Sadly, that's the only way.
Perfect. Thank you. So Jane's wondering, when I use the browser on my Kindle e-reader, it asks if you want to disable JavaScript. What kind of things does that remove from the original website to make it load quicker on the Kindle's browser?
Okay, because usually, actually, it's a good question. I think, I know that Firefox has the opportunity to do that. For example, if I don't load the actually, I think I can disable here 1 second quickly. Yeah, because when JavaScript disabled, it disabled all the events. In this case, the slides, it disabled how to switch to change the links. For example, when I click on here and apply this slide change, that is disabled. And for example, in this presentation, if you read from a Kindle and disable, it will be shown like a regular text. I don't know how to show it. It will show only the information. Actually, if I print it. Something like this. I'm going to print. Well, technically, this is the view, so you will see only the content. And usually in a e-reader, it's it's better because you want to see maybe the images, or you want to see extra information. But you can
It's
see
really
that the
cool.
slides, it's like a book. I don't know how to say. So basically, that's why. Okay, this is an error. This should be mine, not the browser. But yeah, I don't know if this solves your question. This is how it disable all the events, the click, etc., to make the website load faster and much simpler. Because what you care is to read the content, not to interact with the website.
Yeah, it's an excellent answer. Thank you. All right, I think we got time for one more. I'm gonna ask one. Let's see. Got a question here. How can you get this tool that you showed us or something like it? This seems great to practice.
Which tool?
The Devtools, I think.
Okay. No, it's included in each browser. You just download your web browser, and it's inside. And you can open on. Well, I do right click and inspect. Even if I'm going to another tab, I do that. But you can go in the menu. Usually there is like tools or developer, and they are all of them inside. And in here, I don't remember. Usually there is a button.
I think it's the burger menu.
And the burger menu, they have.
Oh, we can't see the menu. The screen sharing. I've been through this. No, the screen sharing won't show the menu itself. But yeah, so when you click on it, the menu will show up, and then you'll have options like tools or developer or something like this.
Yeah, web console, all of these tabs, you can see them in the hamburger menu. Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
And they are free. You just download it and they're included.
Alex is saying, please don't mind my name. I forgot to change it. You're fine. You're fine. Okay. Okay, we got 3 minutes left. I'm gonna let's see. I will go with one last question here. Andre is asking, as a beginner, should we use automatic tools like Chrome's Lighthouse or CSS Overview?
Yeah, I think I don't see any problem using the. Actually, I think it's really good because you can see the. Yeah, 1 second. Chrome Lighthouse is the one to inspect the colors, right? I just refreshing my mind. Yes. No, yeah, it's actually it's really good. It's just that I don't think that you. The problem is that sometimes those tools, they give you like a really complain about things that are difficult to do. So don't get overwhelmed or don't get angry if you cannot do that, because usually they want the full performance, the full correct rules, and it's really hard to do that, especially when you are starting to develop. So, but yeah, I don't see why you shouldn't do that. Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Cool. And I'm gonna take just a moment because Carlos is asking what he calls a just question. Where do we go to learn more about Devtools or resources?
Yes, I usually read them straight from Mozilla Hacks.
Awesome.
Mozilla Hacks is the one for Firefox. Usually, when they add some new things, they show them in there. And also YouTube. And YouTube, I forgot the name. It's what's new in DevTools. Yeah, I have here from them. I don't know if the latest one. But for Chrome, they have a channel called Google Chrome Developers, and they have a section, I don't say, like a program called What's New in DevTools. And each time that they launch a new version, they, for example, they explain, what are the new features, etc., so you can learn them. Also recommend you to search my previous video. I have this presentation, but I also have, for example, the one that I just spoke. I have it in YouTube for WordPress oriented, and in WordPress oriented, it's more full stack oriented. And also have it for JavaScript. I think there is fully JavaScript tools, and you can see them and start from there to learn. And also the recommended links.
Sorry, I interrupted you.
No, sorry. Also the recommended links that I put in the presentation. So.
Fantastic. Well, I would love to share this, if I may, with people. Can I Could I ask you, Miguel, to maybe share me some of those links so I can share them with the
okay, yeah, I can
with our friends here?
you.
Yeah, you can send those to me afterwards,
Okay.
and I'll post them in the forums and on Discord. Miguel, thank you so much. This was amazing. If
Thank
folks
you.
want to get in touch with you, what would you recommend?
I would recommend my Twitter account.
Yep, resharing.
My Twitter, and also, yeah, basically from Twitter you can write me there. I'm kind of active in there, and sometimes I talk about Devtools or development. Maybe it's mainly in Spanish and English, and yeah, that's, and also have a blog, but it's in Spanish. So yeah, you can find all my information in there, basically, in Twitter.
Fantastic. Great. Thank you so much. I will not take up any more of your time. Folks, if you're watching live, thank you so much for joining. If you're watching offline, of course, thank you so much for joining. We'll be back next Monday with the fifth week of the JavaScript and web development boot camps. And until then, I wish you all a most pleasant week and weekend. And Miguel, to you, thank you so much for sharing.
You're welcome. Thanks for the invitation.
Of course. Bye, everyone.